It's time once again to go racing.
It does not get any better than this.
The pressure is really on now.
Yes, it's pole position. Lights out and we're racing in PSGL.
The first lap has been absolute chaos.
What an overtake.
Oh no!
I've never seen anything like it.
Side by side again. This will be settled right at the end.
Hello everybody and welcome along to PSGL Season 30. This is the PSF2 tier, round number 11, and we head to Mexico City tonight for the Mexican Grand Prix. And with a few more rounds to go of the championship, it is imperative that people have good results tonight, and the championship is only separated by 1 point at the moment between the top two. My name is GeForce, and joining me as per usual, we've got, of course, Owen Wyatt. Owen, how you doing?
Oh, Jess. Hello, viewers. And yes, I'm doing all good. I'm looking forward to the last 5 races of the season. We're really getting to the last stages now. And as you say, 1 point in the championship. It's going to get good.
Yeah, it is. And for those of you that are wondering what happened last week, well, we were at Brazil last week and it was quite a cracker towards the end, but there was a result that was decided by the stewards, as per quite a few races this season already. Well, if you watched the race last week, you saw Baraka cross the line in first. Well, he didn't keep first position. He's got 2 license points added to his license, which he's got 6 in total now. And he's got 5 seconds added to his final race time. And then Tom, well, he got a penalty for that on track because he was pushed off. And he got 2 warnings removed. And he's now got a 3-second time penalty removed, which means it's his second win in a row for Tom. And it is third podium in a row, I believe, as well. So Tom is on form, so Baraka's got the most to lose in this situation, but we'll see what Baraka and Tom could do. There still could be Devon in the fight as well. We're on for an exciting championship end, to be honest, for the last 5 races of the season.
Yeah, it's definitely looking good, and the form shown by Tom recently with 3 podiums in a row, 2 wins, 1 second place. Certainly been a lot better than what we've seen from Barak, who's been involved in 2 incidents in the last 2 races that have been with Tom, really. We had the dive bomb that I say dive bomb. It was a very good move on 2 cars that Tom made at turn 1 in Zandvoort, which led to Dino tagging the Mercedes around, and then of course we had the last lap last week. It's cost a massive amount of points, this for Barak. It could cost him up to what? Let's say about 28 points combined, those 2 incidents. And in a 15 race season, that's a lot of points to lose out on, and that's why it's all so close. And so while I'd still say Barak's the quickest driver in the field, he can't keep making the mistake because he'll end up losing the title.
He reminds me of Lamakina a few seasons ago or last season, while he started off quite strong, and then when it got towards the end of the championship, that's where the pressure got to him, and people like Fabi, for example, went near the top as well. So you can't do that when you have a few more rounds to go. You can't become complacent. Oh, I'm leading the championship at the beginning of the season, that means I'll win it at the end. No, you won't be able to do that. We've seen it in real life as well. People that win the first race of the championship don't necessarily win the title. Take Lewis Hamilton last season in real life, of course. We all, of course, know what happened. So, Mexico, first used in Formula 1, 1986, but then it took a little bit of a hiatus, a little bit of a break after a 20-year absence, and then it was on the F1 calendar in the hybrid era in 2015, and it is known for a 2-stop race. Now, we said that for Canada, but we ended up having a 1-stop race for that, but would you see the 2 stops being faster around this track more than anything?
It could depend on the safety cars, I suppose, because I think we know that these guys are very good on the tyres. They're super consistent, so if they can make a 1-stop work, they will. Safety car might entice some people to do a 2-stop, but I don't know. I reckon they'll try and stretch to one stop.
Yeah, I think so too, because if they can do that in Canada, well, they can do that here today as well. As we're seeing lap times on the board already, one from Kazizel, 1:14.0. Expect times to be around about the 1:13s today in this F2 tier. We've got 2 reserves here tonight. We've only got 19 drivers. Andrea is not in the lobby yet, but hopefully he'll be able to join soon. But we have Miltos, he's back again. He's not in the Williams this time, he's in the Alfa Romeo, replacing Louis this week. And in the other, in filling in for Legend this week, we've got Elting, who is back after a hiatus. So welcome back, Elting, a fast driver as we know as well. Nice to see him make his return too. And we'll see what he could do. He's currently 6th at the moment though, behind his teammate Frankie. And it's Cameron Dowles who's the first man into the 1:13 as well in the Ferrari. He got 2nd place, I believe, last week. Another stonking result as well. He could have got the win, but Tom had his 3-second time penalty removed. But definitely a driver that could be up there near the top maybe next season or even in seasons to come. But just because you join midway through the season, it doesn't mean you'll be lower down the grid. He's definitely showing the big guns that he's one to watch out for in future seasons of PSGL.
Yeah, certainly starting out strong with how he's been doing, and certainly if he's not in F2 next year, he'll certainly be looking toward maybe F1 at some point, because of that, he's got that sort of pace after 2 races. Then you can imagine how quick he'll be in the future. So a good start from him. We'll see how long that time holds. The big guns, as it were, haven't done laps yet. We've seen Barack was only on mediums, so we didn't get to see anything from him. Tom invalidated his time, I think. And Devin also invalidated his time, so we haven't seen anything from the big 3 yet, and those will really be the times that I'm guessing will sort of set the pace. They're keeping their cards close to their chest, but it does mean they've wasted half a session nearly without any proper times on the board, and so, you know, sometimes it can backfire. It's a bit overcast, but I think if it was raining, they'd know it'll be raining, so that's not probably going to happen, but it still, with a track you can easily sort of invalidate on, especially in these S's, you want to make sure you have laps on the board, and so at least Baraka's got that. But yeah, expect quicker times from those guys at some point, because with how close this championship is, I think they know everything's super important.
Yeah, and a few races can pretty much make or break your championship. If you had 2 bad races in a row, for example, then maybe kiss your championship goodbye. So this is where Devon has got a point to prove. He's got to manage his fuel, I think, today as well, because he miscalculated his fuel, but well, he has invalidated a few of his runs, so he is going again. So let's go on board with Devon then on his lap around the Mexico City circuit. This is one of the longest straights on the F1 calendar. Starting on pole may not be the best situation here. Maybe starting 2nd or 3rd is crucial when you get the toe. 210 miles per hour, then you brake just before the 100 meter board, and then go on forward tap after turns 2 and 3. And then you're going to be heading to this next DRS straight. You're going to treat these next set of corners like a chicane. You're heading towards turn 4, clip that apex there, and then towards turn 5. And then on the edge of turn 6, you're going to be short shifting into 2nd and then into 3rd on exit. Now, this is a tricky corner, which a lot of people get wrong. I do as well when I race around it. It's the S section, and that's where we could see quite a few penalties in the race. That's probably why we've seen quite a few invalidations already, but at least a few people got some lap times on the board, so they may take it cautious in these first couple of laps. 55.2, I believe, was Devon's middle sector, so I didn't see him pop purple, so he's probably not that competitive yet, but he doesn't want to show his true pace early on. Final sector he goes, final corner as well, and we'll see what his first benchmark time will be. A 1:14.1 will put him into P4, so just under a tenth shy of Cameron Dowles, and also a few hundredths slower than Bolin and Kazizel. So Devon is up there. He's pretty much ahead of Baraka and Tom at the moment, so advantage Devon out of the 3 main championship contenders right now.
Yep, and Tom is invalid on his next lap. He's sitting right in front of Baraka, actually, who's on his out lap. But yeah, it's another lap that Tom seems to have gotten wrong, and Barak seems to want to get past. I've noticed that Barak's actually gone for Lewis Hamilton helmet now, hasn't he? He's he's taking on the Hamilton mantra. Hopefully it works out for him now. We know this. He didn't win the title with this particular car, one of his 7 was, or well, could have been his 8th, but didn't quite happen.
They won the constructors with this car,
Yeah.
just not the drivers.
But we'll see. He's gone Lewis Hamilton 2022 style, so we'll see how this fares as he comes out of the final corner. I think it's the first time he's run this helmet anyway, but I'm liking it as he crosses the line. And his first attempt on the softs. This should be a good lap time. We're expecting it to be a good lap time. You will have noticed that Tom also hasn't pitted. He's gone for a second lap on the tyres, so he knows he has to get a benchmark on the board. This is still just for a banker. You know, he really doesn't want to be doing his final run without any sort of benchmark. I always find it easier to have a delta to go by on your last quali run, because it may just be a psychological thing, but if you set a decent banker and you know you're going quicker than that, as Cameron will have just had as he's gone fastest, I don't know, it gives you more confidence and you can really go for it on the lap. You never do your quickest lap first, I find. But yeah, Tom's going to make sure he gets that lap through. Looks like so far he is getting a lap done. And it looks relatively similar to Devon's pace. He might nip ahead of him, maybe even Bolin as well. But I'm not too sure he'll be able to challenge at the front just yet. I think Devon didn't have the best hairpin though in the last sector, and Tom seemed to be a bit better through there. A bit of a looser rear, but he got himself through without losing the rear end. And he crosses the line. He has found more time there, so he's gone second fastest. But Cameron, still pace setter. And Barack has invalidated right at the end of his lap. And he's going to have to go again. He was nearly a second up at the end of the middle sector, so it would have been right up there. But alas, he's got to go again.
It would have put him in P3 just behind Tom as well, because it would have been a 1:13.9. And it just shows Cameron Dowd actually setting the pace up there. He's continuing his form, like I said, from last week. Meanwhile, his teammate Mateu not doing quite well in 16th, but we'll see what he does in the middle sector. I think we got some Alpines on a lap as well, or they might be going into the pit actually, but expect more people to go on more than one lap on the set of the soft tyres, and it strongly suggests that we could be on for a 2-stop race, but there will be some people that will be pushing for the 1-stop. So Mateu, he goes up to the line, 1:13.9, a few tenths shy of his teammate, and it's a Ferrari 1-3. When's the last time we saw that in real life, maybe, as well as Azzy had to, he lost a bit of time there due to a Red Bull backing off on his lap as well, so hopefully it hasn't costed a bit of time. But there's a few more people about to finish their laps once again and going into the pits as well, as there's a yellow flag in the stadium section. Hopefully just people moving out of the way. Yes, it is. We got a lot of traffic in that final sector though. Let's hope that they have time to get their final runs in, because otherwise they're going to be in a hell of a lot of trouble. But as he's got some clear air anyway, so we'll see what he can do. 1:14.5 for him, only P12 though.
Barack then has gone second fastest, and I'll tell you what, there's a lot more time in that, because he had ran at the ERS practically by the end of the main straight. Since he had to abandon his last lap so late, he had already drained his tank, and so heading through the final DRS zone especially, he was on next to nothing. So there will be a lot more pace in that, so to be that close to P1 with Gazelle as well in tow, he's already gotten himself in a really good spot, but I'm expecting that'll be so much quicker on the final run. So there's definitely more time in it, surely a pole position contender, as he normally is, of course.
Yes, I think quite a few people in pole position as well, but don't forget, Slipstream is banned. There's plenty of places where you can get the tour around Mexico, but you're not allowed to do that in qualifying, so obviously the stewards will be keeping an eye on that. Kryptonite is on his next run. He is unfortunately invalidated. I think it was before the S's actually. So I wonder if it's a turn 4, turn 5 chicane where he cut off a little bit on the exit potentially. That's probably where we've seen quite a few drivers do so at the moment. Devon's on another lap as well. He seems to be handling it a lot better than his previous run, but he's got quite a lot of time to find to get into the 1:13. He's only 5,000 up on his previous best, so he needs to have a miraculous final sector, maybe sector 3. It's got to be a saving grace at the moment. He took it similar to what he did last time. Oh no, he's going to dive it into the pits then, so he realises he wants more time in the tank to get in the final run. We got Miltos, we got Frankie, we got Tom and Cameron on their outlaps. Bone, I believe, is backed off, so he'll be going into the pits. And then we got Nicolo Soro, who is also going to back off and go into the pits as well. Ricky, the only driver yet to set a lap time, but we got Cameron Dowles on pole, Baraka in P2, Cazzizzle in P3, Bolin in P4, Tom in P5, Mateo in P6, Dino, Devon, Cohen, and CC Brain round up the top 10. Good to see Cohen up there at the moment, but like you said, expect these times to be a lot quicker, and Cohen will need to find, I think, more time to get into the 1 minute 13th. I would say 1 minute, I'm going to predict on pole 1 minute 13.4, but saying that, probably the top 5, I would say, one of those guys will probably push an even quicker lap time, but we'll see. I believe one of the Williams or the Alpine is going to be the first person to set a lap. No, actually, it's Tom that's going to be the first person to set one of his final runs. So he's going to be the benchmark at the moment. He can't bottle it.
Is he preparing this to be a second run? We'll find out, because he's done this a couple of times where he's abandoned laps early as he goes wide out of the chicane, but seems to be keeping it all flat out as he heads through the first sector. He's down by nearly a tenth. You see, at this point, I would honestly be turning it all down and trying to prepare for one final run. He has got the fuel for it. You can see it on his dash if you're on board. He's got 2.0 left on there, so he's got enough fuel if he wants to go again, but he seems confident enough to do it on the first try. He's now cut the corner.
Invalidated.
So he's got an excuse now to slow it down and see the ARS up again. So let's see. Let's find Cameron, because he is currently purple through the first sector. I reckon he does need to find a bit of time. I know he's in P1 at the moment, but if you sort of offset Barak's lack of straight line speed in some parts thanks to his ERS, there's at least another 10th in that. And so I think Cameron will do well here to find a bit more time. And he is doing so. Not much, but it could be enough as he heads through into the stadium section. He's got a Williams just in front. Frankie moving out of the way nicely. And the Haas in front will be starting the lap, so it shouldn't be any problem. The Alpha as well will be out of the way. So Cameron's got a clear run up to the line. And is there going to be an improvement? Yes, it is. It is a 13.5. Let's see if that's going to be enough to put him on pole position. Tom, he's gone again. He's heading through the first sector now. And we'll be keeping our eye to see how he's doing. There's a lot of cars coming through that stadium section, so if any of them are on laps, they may find themselves getting a bit compromised, although a lot of them appear to be invalid. And we got Miltos into the wall as well, just out of this first section of chicanes, so hopefully he doesn't get in too many people's way, but his quali is over. Back to Tom. He's still not improved that much through the first sector, actually, but let's see the middle sector. No invalidation this time. A little bit wide, though, through the middle part of those S's. He won't have been happy with that, I don't think. And he is up, but not by much, as he heads through the middle sector. The game calls it purple, but there's no way that was the fastest middle sector today. I think he'll know that himself as he comes through the last couple of quarters. Let's see if he can challenge Cameron as he sees the line coming up to him, and he does improve. Not quite enough to go to P1, not enough to beat Baraka as well, who once again has invalidated a time, so he's not going to be able to challenge for pole position today. And it proves to be a very good omen to have valid laps, because it still keeps Cameron P1, but there's still people out there who are going to try and stop him, because Izzle can't do it. He's invalid. Bolin's in the middle sector, as is Mateo. And obviously we know Barak can't do anything about it. Tom is slowing down, so he hasn't got anything left in the tank either. Devon's come to the final corner. He's down at the moment. Doesn't find anything in the last sector to improve. And a lot of people struggling. There's a little bit of traffic still in the last sector as well. So many obstacles for these guys to get around. As Dino has gone up to P6, Nicolo into P7. Mateo, he's up, so he should pass them again. And does. He's up into 5th. Cazzizzle is, like I say, invalidated, so he's not going to be able to do anything. Bolin have went up to P2, beating his teammate in qualifying. And anyone else out there on a proper lap, I'm not sure. So there wasn't actually that much improvement in the end. And Cameron, having valid laps earlier on, has proved to really help him out there, because he was under actually a lot less pressure than I thought he might be. And it's put him on pole. 13.5. Easy as that.
I need to actually try and find what it was his lap before that, because his lap before that probably would have been enough for pole or second place, so he probably didn't need to push that, but obviously there was a lot of pressure from the other drivers as well, so you got to deliver when it counts. So Cameron Dowd...
Actually, he did need that lap, actually. Bowling would have beaten by 100th, I've just checked there. So
he did need to push there.
He did need to push it, actually.
Yeah, he did need to push. So Cameron Dowd isn't doing the right thing, but he did set a lap early than everybody else on their final runs, which shows that it's important to get a lap in. And watch out for Baraka off the start, because he's going to get the biggest toe you ever seen into turn 1. We've seen people in P3 before around here in Mexico get a very good start. So Baraka's definitely in a good position right now, even though he's not on pole. Cameron Dowles will need to defend for his life. We'll have to wait and see. We're just waiting for Tom, I believe, to go into the pits and retire, which he does. And then we'll go through your qualifying results for the Mexican Grand Prix. And it will be Cameron's first pole of the season. The Scotsman in the Ferrari just only beaten Boland by almost a tenth of a second. So close between the top two. So we've got Cameron Dowles in first, Boland in second, Baraka in third. We've got Tom in fourth, Cazizzel in fifth. We've got Matteo in sixth position, Dino in seventh. We got Nicolo in eighth, Ricky in ninth. CC Brain round up your top 10. They'll be starting on the softs. Then free tyre choice providing its drive course for the race will be Devon, Cohen, Kryptonite, Steph, Miltos, Jax, Azzy, Eltink and Frankie. The top 17 separated by just under a second, with Elting and Frankie just being shy. That actually both the Williams are in 18th and 19th position, so not ideal for them, but still plenty of opportunities for the race with the strategy. But the softs don't last very long around here, so they've got to get a move on with these guys. A second slower is the mediums compared to the soft tyres, so we could see the alternate strategy work wonders, and we could see quite a few people go on the softs in the end. Can we see people from 11th downwards maybe go on to win the race? It's quite open actually, but again, like I said, they have to have a good result here. We'll go for your driver's standings actually, like we were saying. So Baraka leads the standings by 1 point, as we were saying earlier, to Tom. Devon in third place. He's a 16-point gap to the leader on 61 points. Fourth is CC Brain on 54. Then we got Jax on 48, Louis on 38, Dino on 37, Andrea on 35. Andrea's not here tonight, unfortunately. Nicolo on 30, Legend on 27, Cazidal on 26, Bolan on 18, Ricky on 17, Kryptonite on 14, Cameron Dowles on 12, Matteo with 10 points, Addy on 5 points. Then we got Steph on 1 point, and then everybody else with the likes of Cohen, Elting, Frankie yet to score, and obviously we got Miltos, the reserve, as well. And then we go quickly go to constructors, because we're going to go into the formation lap. So Aston Martin are leading on the 102. Then we got Mercedes on 92, Alfa Romeo on 92 as well. And we got Ferrari on 70, but expect them to climb up a bit if both Cameron and Matteo do well tonight. Red Bull in 5th on 68. Then we got AlphaTauri in 6th, Alpine 7th, Haas 8th, Williams 9th, and McLaren only scoring 16 points. And actually, they only started scoring in Belgium on round 8. So we shall see. So we'll go through the tyre choices for the drivers. Only one driver has gone for a set of the soft tyres. That is Frankie. Everybody else has gone for a set of the mediums, which is to be expected if you're outside the top 10.
Yeah, I'm guessing Frankie's expecting to make a few places up through the field, but from last place, I suppose there's an element of nothing to lose there. And as long as he doesn't get involved in any sort of accident, I suppose that'll be all good. And as you say, the rest on mediums. Devon will be hoping to do something special here from P11. I mean, this is maybe not the worst track to be setting P11 on, because we know how sort of thin the line is between a one-stop and a two-stop. And being on the soft tyres later in the race, they'll last a bit longer. You'll get another couple of laps out of them that you wouldn't have been able to get earlier with a heavy car. So possibly you want to be on those softs last. And if you're only doing a one-stop, then that does mean Devon should have some sort of advantage if he keeps his tyres good and if he gets himself through the race without any sort of incidents.
Yes, so we're waiting for the last few drivers to get into position. Let us know your thoughts in the chat on who you think is going to be winning this race. Would it be Cameron on pole? Would it be Bolan and Baraka, the two Mercedes? Would it be the two Aston Martins? Would it be Cameron's teammate? Frankie's the last person to cross the line, and then we can get going, Owen.
Indeed. And it is one of the longest runs to turn 1. I think only Sochi's a better run for this if you're sitting where Baraka is right now. And I'm sure he'll be thinking, getting that toe, turn 1, straight into the lead. That's the plan, but when he's got his teammate there as well, they can work together here. It's Ferrari from Mercedes, and the lights are out here in Mexico City. So it's a super long run towards turn 1. It's a really good start though from Cameron. He's got on really well indeed, and Barack has not quite got the start he was looking for. Tom is ahead in the championship and in the race as it stands, but this run to turn 1, 3 wide, really tricky stuff, and there's so many cars getting involved, and you can see 3 wide for the lead, but Cameron is holding his ground really well. Barack has been sent off the road now, being really smothered by the field in turn 1, but he's kept his cool, kept in the race. Boland's holding on to second place, but he has got Tom right round his outside, and sure he'll crowd him out wide as they head through. Tom keeps his nose in. Will he send it into the sort of hairpin style section? He won't be able to, and he'll hold on to P3. He is, though, ahead of his championship rival, and that's the main goal for him right now. We've got Dino and Mateo going side by side into the S's, and his contact as they head through there. So early in the race, do not risk an accident as they head through there. We have a few cars losing places. Devon has fallen down into 13th place, and is losing touch on the cars in front. I'm wondering if he's got some sort of damage at the start. Nicolo's fallen down as well. Frankie's only made it 2 places up so far on his softs, and I think he's been hit as well. There's a lot of cars at the back who are messing about, and there's a lot of contact happening there too. There's potential for safety cars, and these guys keep going 3 wide like this, so we'll keep our eye on those lot as well. Very messy racing towards the back, and I reckon they'll probably all be into the pit lane after that. Not at all surprising. But as we head to the end of lap 1, Cameron has done really well under pressure there.
Yeah, a driver that you were expecting to get swamped by the likes of Baraka and Boden into turn 1 with the toe, but he's been able to handle this pressure very well and keep this lead by 0.4 of a second, which is the gap that we've seen Baraka and Tom in Brazil last week. So that should be very, very interesting indeed. We've had a very good start so far this race. We've got Elting up 8 positions in the Williams. He started 18th, don't forget, and he's up to 10th position, so a good race for him so far as well. Cohen is up 1 place, Steph's up 2 places, Jack's up 3, CC Brain's up 2 as well, but we got Cohen that could make another position of Elting as he makes a brilliant move into the S's and up into P10. Don't forget the top 10 in PSGL. Scores some decent points in the league, so Cohen will definitely need this in the McLaren. So we'll see those midfield scraps go on for a very long time to come indeed. And I was watching actually the back scramble for, I think it was P16, and there was a bit of front wing damage from those cars, so that's why they came in. But we're starting to see fastest laps galore at the moment. Expect to see a few penalties earlier on as well. I think we'll see quite a lot of drivers with the black and white flags, which means they've got a penalty. Meanwhile, Nicolo and Jax going side by side into turn 1. The other McLaren wants to try and get points as well as Cohen. He did score well last week, remember, in the McLaren. So here he goes then, past Jax, up into 13th. Those two are out of position though in the race so far, but they've got a lot of work to do. He's got a bit of slipstream from Steph as well, so we'll see what he can make of it into turn 4. Nicely done from the McLaren, and he's up into 12th place, so he is making ground on those soft tyres, but he did drop down, don't forget, from, I believe, 10th position, but he's coming back. I'm liking this.
So Devon decided to stay out 1 lap longer, even though he was clearly struggling with damage. It's cost him a place to Kryptonite, as well as obviously having to change the front line anyway, so he is so far behind already in this race. And he's going to need to do quite a lot to get some good points today. Elsewhere at the front, Cameron's holding a decent gap to Boland, who will still get DRS on him. But, you know, I think Cameron won't be feeling too bad about the situation right now. He does seem to have the pace. Even if he were to get overtaken, I think he'd have the pace to stay competitive. He's got more ERS than the car behind as well. So he's doing well on that front as they all head through towards turn 1. And through the tricky sort of chicane section, which can also disturb the toe as you head out, because you may not be as close as you want to be on the exit. So even though it's a double DRS, it may not always be as effective as it sounds. And Cameron holds on to his lead. Tom and Baraka and Kazizel aren't really doing too much either. They're just sort of sitting in line and staying all close together. Everyone down towards Ricky in P9 are holding on to the trim, which you'd expect with these guys being on the sauce. The medium runners are doing their own race behind. Nicolo trying to get his way back through them, having lost ground earlier on. Eltink, currently the car he's trying to get past, but unable to do so at the moment. And we've got the hat of Azzy off at the start of the lap. I think he might just have retired himself actually, but he's out, and it's the first car out of the race.
I wonder if he retired on track. Did he retire on track?
I think he must have done, because I think it's happened too late there to be a pit lane thing, and now he's parked it on the exit of 3. I think he's actually gone 1. I'm not sure what happened in the pits.
We will double check that maybe from his POV later. There might have been something that costed it.
Interrupt, because they were 3 wide for the lead in turn 1 there. Didn't fancy passing anyone though, interestingly enough, as we see Tom losing the car in the exit. Baraka, interestingly, not doing anything about that. But yeah, it's weird when they go 3 wide for the lead and then nothing happens. But sorry to interrupt, but I wasn't sure exactly what they were going to do there.
No, it's fine, because to be honest, I think Bowden was trying to get past, couldn't quite do it. Tom and Baraka wanted to take advantage, but they couldn't, because Zizza wanted to be in there as well. Literally, they're all in this train, and technically all the top 9 could be on shout for winning this race with how close they are at the moment. It will come down, I think, in my opinion, to who has got the best strategy, because in some races like Mexico, it may not be down to the fastest driver that wins the race. It's down to possibly the one who gets the strategy right and has the ability to increase that gap and consistently not get as many penalties. Speaking of penalties, Dino has now picked up 1, so is Elting, so they've got 1 3-second penalty to their name. Expect to see a few more drivers with time penalties to their name as well. We could see another launch from Tom for the lead of this race, which he does not. He decides to stay back at the moment, but watch out, we could see it 3 wide, maybe heading towards turn 4 soon, but I don't think any of them are going to challenge. I think Boland will potentially be the closest to Cameron. He had the DRS in turn 1, but he couldn't get past Cameron into turn 4, unfortunately. So they're staying 1, 2, 3 for now. They're not budging these top 9 at the moment. The main battle seems to be happening in the midfield, with Cohen being the trainers. Miltos is out of the race. He retired in the pit lane, I believe. Yes, he has retired from the pit lane, so no safety car. I'm sure the likes of the top 9 would have hoped it was a safety car, but there's no safety car. It would have been too early anyway for them to pit, for them to go on the 2 stop. They probably would have gone to do a hard tyre run, but we will see. But yeah, that's 2 retirements in this race so far, which is not ideal. But as I was saying, Cohen is now the lead of this train, with Elting in a McLaren sandwich. Well, he was in a McLaren sandwich, as Nicolo has gone off a little bit. He's lost place to Jack and Steph, 12th and 13th respectively. He's in the pit. I think he's got damage.
And Tom is now going for 2nd place. He's boxing Bolan in here, and he can't do anything about this, the Mercedes man, because he had the Ferrari right in front, so he had to let Tom through. Will Tom now try and attack the Ferrari in front, or will Bolan come back? It looks like Bolan's going to try and come back. Gets a nice toe, but again, Tom holds his ground. So it is now Tom with a car buffer between himself and Barack, or at least for now. I don't know if Barack will try any sort of teamwork with his teammate to try and get himself in front, but Tom is the man making the moves, although we did just get an X above his name. Hopefully he stays in this thing, as Frankie is in the pits to retire. We're already down to 16. And Tom still looks pretty healthy on ERS. I'd be surprised if he flat out goes for the lead though, unless he thinks he's got the pace. Eltink has been off, and I think Jax was involved. No front wing for the Alfa Romeo. No safety car for this though just yet. I think they'll keep it green. And a lot of incidents happening in the midfield though. But let's see, is Tom going to be able to go for any sort of move here? It would say a lot of he did by his pace. And he does indeed close in towards turn 1. And yeah, he's going through. So he's happy enough to do this then. And he, like I say, he must be very confident about his pace then, because the Ferrari will not mind this at all at Cameron, and Barack now surely will be sitting there thinking, right, I've got to get a move on now. It's time to make some moves. But he's just going to sit there for now in P4. So Tom now leading the race.
Tom did a good tactic actually, because he waited for the overtake when he saw the DRS detection point heading in towards, I would say, turns 1 and 2. He timed that beautifully as well, so he still had the DRS heading towards turn 3, and that's why he was able to hold on to P1 from Cameron too. So that could be an interesting fight. Expect these drivers, if they're on the 2-stop, to pit around about lap 11 for a set of the mediums. They'll go on for 14 laps, and then they'll go on soft to the end for around about lap 24, lap 25. If they're going for a 1-stop, they're probably going to pit lap 13 and then take the hards for about 22, 23 laps until the end. If they want to make sure they get to the end, probably have to stretch the soft to lap 14, which is a bit of a do or die moment. So probably lap 13 would be the undercut scenario for them as well. So could we see another fight for the lead here for the top 4? They're not budging right now. The penalties could come into it as well. Baraka actually trying to get his teammate into turn 1 side by side there into that chicane. Turn 2 they come in towards turn 3, and Baraka did not have the edge there. As Elting's out of the race, so that might prevent an overtake, but it's not stopping any of those two go for a move, as Baraka is going to try and get 2 people in 1 nearly as well, but Bolan holds it off very well in towards turn, I believe it's turn 5, and then to turn 6 and 7 they go now. And that was very close between the two Mercedes boys. Luckily, they didn't hit each other, but Elting is in the pits. He retired. Another retirement in the pits then. So, yeah, that makes it the 4th retirement, and that will be his AI car coming out. That's why there's yellow flags in set to 1. But these guys almost gave me a hard tap, Bowen and Barak. But I wonder what Toto Wolff will be thinking in his garage at the moment. Will they tell those two to keep fighting? Well, they got to, really. But Baraka's in a championship fight. Bolan is not. One of these two will need to start working together towards the end of the season. And don't forget, you can't really double stack much on this game. So maybe Bolan will have to pit a lap later to help his teammate a bit more. Or if the overcut works, maybe Baraka pits, Bolan pits first. We don't know. We don't know at this point. It is up to obviously the Mercedes team in order to do so. And we'll lap 10, so a few more laps, and we could see our first pit stops of the evening.
Yeah, so that's really bad teamwork from Mercedes. Just a complete disaster, because it's had Baraka's entire ERS tank depleted, and he couldn't even get through. Bolan, I suppose he's entitled to fight for his position. So I mean, he's technically done nothing wrong, but I suppose in a championship context, I think Baraka will be maybe feeling a little bit upset that his teammate didn't really help him out there. But well, look, maybe you gotta fight your own battles. I wonder how Zizzle's going to deal with Barak. It's just ever an opportunity to do so, because obviously he's also maybe thinking about helping his teammate, his Shizou teammate, his Aston Martin teammate. You know, there's good sort of motivation to come past this Mercedes if he can. Will he try and undercut or something, get himself in front of the Mercedes? Will he be the one to actually start the strategy calls off? These guys look pretty good for a 1-stop, by the way, right now. I think they're not going to do a 2-stop, and I think they would have maybe started a bit earlier.
Speaking of that,
maybe CC Brain, he might be looking at doing it, but the others, I don't know. At this point, they're already on to lap 11 on these tires. They seem still okay on them, so the mediums probably will get to the end, frankly, if they wanted to even do that. So I think the 1-stop should be okay for them.
Yeah, so a few people were commenting in the chat that the soft to medium strategy could work, which means they will have to stretch their softs a bit more. Maybe they have to stretch their mediums in a bit more as well. But yeah, it's kind of like a Canada situation. We were talking about it at the start of the stream where we thought it was a 2-stop, where actually it could be a 1-stop. But yeah, Dylan in the chat might be right, actually, with the way that they're managing those tyres very, very well. And the game tells you one thing, but the drivers can do completely different thing as well, even though Jeff will probably annoy these drivers to death, saying box now, where they don't really want to box. They want to push for a few more laps yet. So yeah, it could be soft to medium, actually, not soft to hard, but that shows what I know about strategy around Mexico. I thought soft to hard will be the suitable 1-stop strategy, but no one is pitting then, so 1-stop, I believe, for the drivers then, as Bolan actually comes in, because Zizzle comes in. Surely this means they're going for a 2-stop, or they could push for a 1-stop. I don't know. We will see. It's meant to last 17 laps, but I think it could do more than that. Probably about 24, I think I've seen a few of the other tiers do it, but yeah, a few people in the chat saying soft to mediums could work, but let's hope the drivers can prove us wrong. And I think there's a few tracks where the hards are feasible in this game now. I think most tracks you can do soft to medium. Some you can do quite well, but it's this tracks where you really it's on the limit on whether you can do it or not. But I think with these top tier drivers in F2, they can do it.
There's no reason they can't do. We've got the guys who started on mediums, which I suppose tells to me that they would be doing the one-stop mediums and softs, so I suppose you could say the other way around should be fine. What this is doing is it's putting Baraki under even more pressure, these two in the pits, Bolin and Sizzle, because he hasn't got much ERS to fight with here, and they've had a chance to refill their tanks in the pits, and he'll obviously get a chance to do it as well, but his won't be as full, and these guys have an extra lap on the new tyres. They'll be nice and heated up. They may well have even had a chance to catch up as well. So he's, whoa, nearly lost it on the way into the pits as well, but has just kept it facing the right direction. A nice little drift in there, as we see Matteo and Ricky, the only ones staying out. But let's see, as they all come back out, where are Bolin and Kazizel going to be? Bolin obviously hasn't got any penalties or anything like that, and he is using his ERS, so if he gets himself into the lead, I reckon he'd be pretty happy to hold on to it, and that's exactly what he's done. So Bolin has beaten out, look at Tom, and look at Kazizel though. Kazizel's going to go flying past. So Bolin got one Aston Martin, but then got overtaken by the other one, and now it's an Aston Martin sandwich, sandwiching a Mercedes. And surely Tom, once he gets his tyres up to temperature, can work with his teammate to make this an Aston 1-2. And Cameron is actually probably the one who's lost out the most here, because he's gone from second to fourth, net fourth, and then Barack obviously fifth. We expect that to happen anyway. But yeah, this has turned this into Aston Martin really controlling this now. I think they'll be very satisfied with that.
Yeah, I think they will as well, and I think with Cameron being at a disadvantage, that's probably helped Kazizel more than it hurt, really, to be honest. And he's got the penalty though, so he's got to make sure he's clear of everybody else, so he probably will be helping his teammates. So if he can hold up Bolin potentially as well, that could work in Tom's favour. Matteo is in, Ricky stays out, which is a strategy I didn't think he would be doing. I think with the way Cameron Dowles has lost, I think he's going to lose even more time, which will promote Cameron to the race lead after Ricky pits. But Matteo comes in. We'll see everybody else go past him. There goes one car of Kazizel. And we've got Bolin, Tom, his teammate, Baraka, CC Brain, Dino. Matteo has lost a lot in those pit stop failures just by staying out a bit longer. So Ricky will be thinking, hang on, maybe I should have pitted a lap earlier. But he's got to have the best in-lap he can and make sure that the undercut works in a way as well. So we're looking at the gap to leader between Ricky and the next car of Kazizel, who is on the freshest mediums, 15.4 seconds, and you lose 20.5 seconds in the pit stop. So Ricky is going to drop to around about where Matteo and Jax are. I think just ahead of Jax, but if he doesn't come in now, Jax will pretty much jump him, so he's got to get a move on, go on those medium tyres and know that he can get to the end on this set. Baraka gets a penalty as well. We're starting to see the penalties crop in as we've got our last soft runner then into the pits. Surely this will mean millions for him, but he's going to be outside the points at the moment.
Of course, the advantage that Ricky gets here is that at least at the end of the race, when people's mediums are starting to go, he'll have a little bit more grip on his. Now, Bolin has stayed very close to Kazizel this whole lap, and he's not even using his ERS look to come past on the main straight. They're both relatively low, so they don't really have it in their arsenal to use. And so Bolin's gone through back into the race lead. Tom will sit behind his teammate now. Will he try and launch an attack? I'm sure he'll have some idea of what their ERS levels are like. Obviously, Kazizel can't fight back because of the way the DRS zones are here. There's only one detection point for these two zones, and it's right in the middle of the stadium section. So Bolin, you know, he's easily able to defend Kazizel. We got CC Brain and Dino fighting away, and we'll see how they get going. That maybe if they could fall out of Baraka's DRS range, that could break us into a top 5 only. But yeah, we'll see what Bolin does now. Will he be able to pull away from Kazizel? Will Tom come past? Will Cameron try and come past? I think the guys at the higher ERS, they will now start to break into this, because When you're on as low as Kazizzle is, you'll tumble.
Yes, pretty much. And I think the scrambling is going to help the guys as we've got a yellow flag set to 2. Jax has gone off then. So he lost it after the S's, and if he got damaged front wing, it's hard to tell with the camera.
Front wing left.
Yep, so he's going to dive in the pits, I think. I think he's trying to find a safe place to... Is his wheel stuck? I think he's stuck. Oh, no, he's not. No. He's back. I think he was waiting for a few drives to get past him. I don't know why it's taking him so long just to get out. But anyway, we'll leave Jax to it. It's probably a method to his madness, but that's going to put a yellow flag where he is, which will stop a lot of people overtaking. He's going to get lapped very soon as well. Devon is in for another set of the medium. So he's definitely going to 2-stop. So I believe he started on them. So you have to do at least one different tyre compound. What is Jax doing?
No, it's his brake. I think there he is. He's away now. I think something happened with his brakes.
Oh, he's out.
On his wheel, possibly, because you could see that his brake was at a very, very consistent level, which you can't do that on purpose unless you're like literally the most precise driver in the world. And he wouldn't have crashed if he was that precise. So I think it's a wheel issue. I would imagine for him there. You don't do that on purpose with what he was doing with his brake pedal, because you can see he was trying to get away, but the brake was just holding him down. Now, Tom, he'll see the flashing red light on the back of his teammate's car, and that'll be his cue to come through into the net P2 as Bolin comes past Steph. And Steph was doing a little bit of defending there, actually, just to try and defend his position, which was a bit odd. You would normally just let the guy on the other strategy through and not wreck your own race. And again, Steph moves over, and Tom gets through. And so now it's Bolin. From Tom the Frontier, look at that! The Ferrari of Cameron nearly into the back of Steph. And Kazizzle, let's say, I reckon he'll probably get done by Baraka next. Just with the way his ERS is, I think it's a losing battle where he is right now. And with Steph in his middle sector, it means he can't really make much of a gap to Baraka. Although, of course, it also means he'll stay nice and close to Cameron. But yeah, the AlphaTauri causing a little bit of chaos here. This is helping Cohen just sort of stay out on his own on these mediums, and Steph now lets Barak and Kazizzle through as long as after Cameron got through. But is Cameron still in DRS range? It might be a bit tight, but I think he's okay. Kazizzle would have been hoping he wouldn't have been, but oh well, can't win them all. But let's see, will Barak come through? I think you're going to see the light flash on the back of that Aston Martin once again. And that'll be the cue that he needs to come past. And this is for genuine position. They both have penalties, so this is a really important move to make. And Barak will come round the outside. A massive lock-up, but he is through and ahead of Kazizzle. So he's gone from the front to the back of that top 5 train in just a couple of laps. And now we can focus on Tom, and let's see how he's going to do it against Bolin.
Yes, it shows how powerful this DRS is through turn 1, to be honest, because we saw both Baraka and Cameron try to fend off Kazizzle, and Kazizzle just had nowhere. He just got swamped. So Kazizzle, he's lost quite a few positions on that, and with that penalty he's got as well, his race is definitely ruined unless there's going to be a safety car which caused the issue. Hopefully you can find out from Jax what happened. If it's a brake issue, then hopefully it gets sorted for next week when we are at Singapore, I believe, for round number 12, as Matteo does get past Steph. So Steph's already dropping down quite a few positions in this Grand Prix so far, but he has to get those mediums to lap around about 24 laps in order to go on to a set of softs to make it a 1-stop. So he's going to be on those for quite a while, but Cohen is doing a great job to handle these guys as well. But we'll see if Tom can get past Bolin then in towards turn 1. He's got the ERS he needs. He's got a DRS, but he can't get past on this occasion. He gets another attempt in towards turn 3 coming up right now. So he's going to go full attack then. He activated the DRS quite quickly, actually. It's a good reaction time for him. Ricky does get past Steph as well, but it's Tom. No, he stays behind, but Cameron stays ahead of Barak as well. So they're not budging these guys as well. Maybe they are just waiting for the prime opportunity to get past, maybe towards the end of the race as well. But all this is doing will allow these guys behind to try and get past if they keep squabbling. So maybe they'll be working together to try and keep in this train and not allow everyone else to get past. Because if you keep fighting, that is where the positions will be lost. That's why Cazzizzle lost places, because he kept fighting when it was unnecessary, really. And he's also got the penalty too. But we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars battling for the lead. 6 if you're counting Dino as well, excluding penalties. CC Brains in it as well. He's dropped a little bit to Dino, but he's got, I think, the same tyre life as the likes of Bone and Cazzizzle. So he's got more to lose in this situation, but he's going to hope that everyone else's tyres die before his, because I think we've just seen, more battles in the background with Cazzizzle as well. So Cazzizzle may be in danger of actually losing another position from Dino almost, but he just about fends off Dino into turn 2 and 3. That was very close between the Alpine and the Aston Martin driver. I think they were sitting near the pit exit as well, trying to go for the move there as well, so it was almost 3 wide there. But Dino doing a great job staying in this fight, because it's all just has got to get a move on, but he can't afford to keep squabbling like this.
It's not the squabbling that's doing him in, it's his ERS that's doing him in. He's not able to make any more of it up. Luckily for him, Dino is also in that situation now. And, he's got plenty of time left in the race. He has now, of course, picked a second penalty up, which isn't going to help him, but, if he can find any point where he can just start saving a bit more ERS, then he'll be okay. And like I say, maybe with Dino in a similar situation to him, that might just help him out a little bit there. He's not really done much wrong, actually, apart from the ERS, and he did that to sort of get himself into the lead of the race earlier on, which did have benefits for a little bit, but yeah. 30% ERS, it is more than it was before, and Dino, you see, he's going to pretty much run out of ERS trying to get past Cazzizzle now, and he'll be the one under pressure in a minute, if he can even get in front, which he can't really, because Cazzizzle will get through on the inside, so that's now Dino just run out of ERS, that's him done. He's not going to be able to come back now, because he just won't have the firepower to do so. It's the same reason why Tom isn't using his ERS right now, because he's just able to control this. Bolin may be the leader of this train, but he's certainly not the man in control of it. Tom is pretty much pulling the strings in this at the moment. And with 16 to go, we could be here a while. Unless Cameron can have a fight with Tom and try and get free. He has got more ERS in him, but not by much. And again, if you go for anything like that too early, you'll waste ERS. So, could be stalemate for a little bit.
I think all of these guys as well know that the tyres will be at punch territory towards the end of the race. Maybe they're just saving their tyres at this point in this train, because the more that you're stuck in this train, the more tyre wear you use. So they're probably not pushing as much. That's probably why they're not going on the attack. But then towards the end of the race, that's when they're going to be pushing. We saw this in Brazil, which pretty much ended Baraka's chances of winning due to the penalty he got from the stewards. But Cohen is going for the softs. He's pitted a few laps earlier than I thought he was going to do, but Cohen thinks he could get to the end from here, so why not? As Cazzizzle retakes P5 from Dino into turn 1 then as well. He has more ERS than Dino, so Cazzizzle was saving his ERS there, whereas Dino wasn't. He was pretty much using his ERS to try and defend from Cazzizzle, but to no avail. If you get pretty much 10% or less, that's where you start to lose power from the energy store. So you've got to really, between, I think 40 to 20% is the ideal amount of battery you've got to be in. If you're less than that, then you are really going to be a sitting duck at the moment, because he's just edging closer to the Mercedes of Baraka, but I think he's going to do a little bit more pushing than that to try and stay in this train, because Dino could get him again. Dino's now saving ERS, so if you're in front of this little queue with Cazzizzle and Dino, Cazzizzle's now going to try and push for ERS. Dino is now going to save it. It's going to be like a topsy-turvy situation between these two, but I'm sure Cazzizzle's probably learned his lesson. Same with Dino as well. I think Dino could get Cazzizzle again into turn 1. We could see, I think, I'm trying to see if any of the top 3 are going to budge at the moment. Everyone else has, most of these guys have either pitted.
Through.
Here they come.
And Cameron's going to go for both of them, look. Or is he going to lay it off? Actually, he's just going to sit back. So Bolin has let these two go. Now he's got his chance to save some ERS. Tom will have to deal with a Ferrari now. He's not going to go for it, though. I think if he was going to go for it, he would have just gone past into turn 1. He definitely had the overspeed. And none of them fighting too hard. Like I say, there's so long left in this race, but yeah, Tom was just so close that time round that it actually didn't cost anything to overtake. Very different to what we've seen with Xizzle and Dino's battle, because Dino has tried for 3 laps in a row now to overtake on the main straight, but he's run out of ERS halfway down the straight, and so Xizzle just gets to waltz back past him. He's not actually had to defend anything, Xizzle. He just saw the Alpine pull alongside, give him a little wave, and then run out of power and fall back behind. So yeah, he's saving his ERS up now, while Dino is still in a vain attempt to get through again. Probably going to use it on the main straight. Maybe he'll have learnt by now, but we'll see. Is he going to go straight for the power, or is he? No, he's going straight for the power again. So this isn't going to work, right? This isn't the way to overtake people at the moment, because he's just wasted ERS for no reason there, and he's going to be in trouble again. We can now see Barack going by his teammate. Now, these two didn't play fair last time. How are they going to be this time? Well, they're making contact, so that's not the best start, and they've hit a second time, and now they're both wide, and Bolin is still in front. This will be enraging Barack. Oh my goodness
God.
me! Well, I'm wondering if Bolin's actually overtaken Barack off track and had to let him back through. And my goodness, good thing Barack had quick reaction skills there, because I'm not too sure that he was quite aware what was going on there, and it was a very close call between them two. And yeah, I don't think Barack's going to have many nice things to say to Bolin after this race. He's used a lot of ERS to get through him as well. He's now in a really tricky spot, and it could let Bolin come back through. And these two, oh, it'll be a fun team briefing after this one.
Yes, in the factory in Brackley and maybe in Mexico as well. Yes, and we'll be having a discussion. Penalty.
Wow. We've got Dino as he into the pits now. I mean, he's been climbing all over the back as Xizzle nearly went into him again. And this is surely going to be a 2-stop then for him for softs. Nothing else to go on to. I mean, we've seen, though, that Cohen can do the distance on the tires, and he must have broken his car. It's the only reason he'll be in the pit right now, and indeed he has, because we know Cohen can do what 20 laps on the mediums, and we even then thought that was purely the pit. So mediums will easily get to the end. It doesn't make any sense to pit, and he's doing it clearly only because of the damage. I think Steph's also got some damage, or no, sorry, no, he hasn't. I thought he was coming to the pits, but he hasn't. He's actually going to come back through, not into the point, mind you. As it stands, Dino's going to be sort of on his own in 10th. Not as lonely as Cohen is in P9, but I don't think he's going to mind this too much. He's yet to score a point this season. 2 points definitely in the bag as it stands, unless something goes wrong. A safety car might affect him with his penalty, but his strategy seems to be going relatively well. We'll see if in the last 12 laps he can maybe try and catch up to the guys in front. Obviously, you know, we think that the delta's what, a second a lap for these softs, but that's never always as accurate as it sounds, because that's
it could be more, it could be less.
We have to take that data off of what the game says, and we don't even know the game's right about how long the tyres last. You know, these guys are much higher quality drivers than the game maybe estimates. So, yeah, we'll see if he can catch up. But either way, as long as he just stays there, he'll be getting a decent result for himself. Up at the front, any movement? We've got Cameron just pulling out a little bit, just to show Tom that he is still there, and he is still very much paying attention. He has got nearly a full tank of ERS. Tom nearly full as well. Baraka, yeah, not quite getting there, but he's able to stay in the train. Bolin, not tempted to go past him just yet, because he's actually now in a similar situation to his teammate on ERS. They're both on a bit of a low range right now. And we're probably back into stalemate now. All the interesting stuff's happened, and they're going to sort of sit back and wait for a little bit before they get themselves into more trouble. CT Brain has been able to hold on to the back of this just about, but you can see now that he's just creeping a little bit too far behind where Xizzle is. I wonder if Xizzle, who has saved a little bit of ERS now, is possibly looking at trying to engage in some fighting with the Mercedes in front. I'm sure CT been able to stay close, so I'll be surprised if he fell completely out, because he's also got plenty of ERS. So he's got no penalties. There could still be a podium in this for him, you know, if he just keeps his nose in it. So we'll see what happens to him later on. Not quite in the championship anymore, but still wants to be getting some good results out there. And you never know if he does get the results. could surprise people. Where is he in the championship? He's right up there, isn't he?
He's fourth
at the moment.
54 points.
It's a little bit behind, but I mean, any good results could help him with beating Devon, because Devon's been at the back all day, and will probably finish at the back unless we get a safety car. Now, Cameron again will just sit in DRS, and yeah, these guys are just not interested in fighting. As of right now, it'll be a last couple of laps sort of shootout potentially, so we'll have a look and see what happens then.
Whilst we wait for some more action to happen, we've got some penalty check for those, just in case for those of you that are jeffing anybody. So we've got Baraka's on 3 seconds, Cazzizzle's on 14 seconds, so Cazzizzle's got the most out of anybody. I think one of which could be a 5 second, but we'll need to double check on that one. Cohen's on 9 seconds, so is Dino. Steph's on 6, Nicolo is on 9. Kryptonite's on 3, everybody else has got none, but I'm sure quite a lot of people are on 2 warnings already, on the edge of getting their first penalty, and that could make or break a race. If CC Brain finishes where he is, I believe I'm just trying to, he's got, I think, score 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, he's got to score 7 points to be ahead of Devon, so, but we'll see. Cameron Dow's for the lead. Cameron Dow's for the lead into turn 1, and he got Tom quite easily there. So Cameron Dow's in the Ferrari, started on pole. He's leading the race on lap 28 and 36 then, but this is all inviting Baraka.
Baraka's through as well.
Baraka with his Lewis and Hamilton helmet. Oh, that was close from Tom and Baraka. We don't want the same argy-bargy as we saw last week in Brazil, which almost costed both of their races, as Baraka had the edge there. Don't forget, Baraka does have a time penalty into the S section. He goes, he gets Tom once more. P2 for Baraka.
What on earth are they doing there? I mean, they hit each other twice. Second week in a row they have to wheel bind like this, and what have they done? They've let the Ferrari disappear. That is pretty nonsensical, if I'm being brutally honest there. I don't know why they've done that. I mean, I suppose Barak with his penalty knows he's not going to win the race anyway, so I suppose it only hurts Tom, but well, now Tom's really got to put his foot down here. At least he'll get DRS, but he's going to have to literally burn the ERS to close up, overtake, and then use the rest of the DRS he'll have to get himself back into DRS of Cameron. But by that point, his ERS will be done. So let's see if he can get into that zone first. Of course, you'll have a second DRS burst here, and if he can just get close enough, let's see. Gap 1.060301 down to 9/10. He's now going to stay close for the next section, but look at his ERS, he's used over half of it. So yeah, and now Barak, having been overtaken, he's under pressure from his teammate. What if he falls outside the second now? So those two fighting has potentially ruined an afternoon for at least one of them, and it could be Barak, could be Tom. I suppose it remains to be seen, but it's annoying they've got a wheel bind all the time, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we're seeing the pressure really start to go into them for these two drivers, because they are the championship favourites for these last 5 rounds as well. Their rivalry has been really, really good actually for most of it. They had good respect for each other, but now I think
he's
it's...
he's out of it. He's out of the zone, Jess. Tom's done what he needed to do to get back into DRS of Cameron. And I suppose, yeah, I mean, look at this. Barak's now run out of ERS entirely. His teammate is nearly out as well, but look at him. He's going straight past anyway. Oh, this could be a title-deciding mistake, fighting Tom at that particular point of the race. And he's down to 4th, nowhere near Tom now. And
he'll drop down to,
Brain,
I think, 8th or 9th, I think, because of penalties.
CC Brain and Cazzizzle will be looking at us thinking, do you know what, there's a position here for me as well. And CC Brain, you can certainly see 4th place on the horizon with the penalties anyway, but if he can try and get by these two and maybe try and fight for a podium if Barak gets a bit too aggressive with his teammate again, because as Mercedes was certainly going for earlier on, but I think he just uses the ERS. He's not going to be able to fight, is he?
No.
We'll see, though. We'll see. I suppose it'll be no ERS versus no ERS, which may actually make the DRS seem more powerful in the main straight, but they're not going to have a hope in hell in catching these top two unless they have a really aggressive fight. Speaking of those two, 6/10 between them. Tom still has less ERS, not by all that much actually. So Cameron was using some ERS possibly to try and keep the 1 second gap earlier on. And Tom will obviously just close it up on the main straight. And yeah, we'll see when they decide to engage in a fight. If they've got any sense, they'll hold it, because these guys behind will probably lose themselves a bit of time. They don't want to fight until they've got a sensible gap behind them. So hopefully they'll hold station for now. Tom will be thinking about the championship, of course, and the race when he wants to make it 3 in a row. Yeah, a lot of sort of chess going on at the minute.
Yes, and I think it could come back to bite them with a few races to go, because we've got some very challenging races coming up. We've got Singapore next week, we've got USA and Imola to come as well, and then the final race will be Bahrain as well. So I think really they've got to get some good results here in order to stay in this fight and have the pressure more on the other drivers rather than yourselves, as Devon got past Kryptonite, but Kryptonite does get a penalty. Does Kryptonite have more penalties than Devon? Yes, he will. So Devon will stay ahead of them for now. Lap 31 on 36 will get the penalties up again for you as they're about to start lap 32. I think Cameron is doing all he needs at the moment to stay in the lead of this race. I wonder if Tom is saving a bit of tyre wear for later on, or is he going to go? He's going to go for it actually now maybe, but he's got close to Cameron by just under a tenth, but he wasn't willing to get past just yet. He feels like fighting will pretty much hurt his race rather than help him, because he's got a championship to think about, but he knows he'll be ahead of Baraka anyway, so maybe that's probably why he's not pushing too hard. But I think I'm just trying to see, yeah, CC Bray will be 4th. Yeah, I'm just trying to do the maths on penalties, because Izzo I think will probably drop out the points. Cohen would probably drop quite a bit. Pretty much everyone from 9th downwards has penalties. Everyone apart from Baraka has none. So if you're in the top 8, apart from Baraka, because you're guaranteed points. Speaking of Kazidor, he's got another one. So yeah, Kazidor is going to be, if he's not careful, he's going to be... I think he'll get away with just being at the points, but we'll see. We will see. He's got the 2 Mercedes in front of him squabbling, so he could get a position on track if these two keep fighting like no tomorrow. But we'll find out as we head to the final stage of this race. We'll have a few more laps to go after this one, and we'll see, could Tom get Cameron? No, Cameron Diaz has actually pulled away a little bit there on the straight.
Brack again is going to get good as he comes through. And Bolin will just let him go. He's got the good gap to Kazizzle. So Barak Sid, a bit of VRS, gets himself through. He'll get the second DRS zone to pull away again. Will he be able to get close to Tom? Because Tom may be holding back a little bit to see if he can just, stay behind Cameron. He'll be basically trying to do this right until the start of lap 36, I'm guessing. So will Barak use the saved ERS to break back into DRS? That will be the plan, I've got to assume. And if he can do that, then perhaps there's just a little chance he can try and ruin the end of Tom's day. But let's see, the detection point is now, and he's not in. So, nearly, but not quite. As Tom will use a bit more DRS on the back stretch and into the stadium section. Might use a bit of time following Cameron. So this really has to be it for Barak now. Can he get himself in? Or will he have just wasted his time? I think the answer's going to be the latter, unfortunately. So he's done a decent job there, actually, to give it a go, but didn't quite get into the 1 second. But you know what? It was a decent attempt. And he's definitely broken away from his teammate, who knows, actually, in fairness, all he has to do is stay on a 3 second gap, and he'll pick up the podium anyway. As we see, with 3 laps to go, Mateo fighting CC Brain, and Ricky is coming through both of them. So those guys have decided that now is the time to start fighting, and CC Brain got a bit mugged off there, and that might cancel his plans to move up to 3rd place in the championship by the end of the race. But we will see what happens. He's obviously got a little bit older tyres than the rest of the guys around him. Will Ricky and Mateo be able to get any further up the grid? Will they be able to possibly try and get up to Bolin near the end of the race? Because this has got ERS. He may fancy fighting the Mercedes if he wants to, even though there's nothing he can gain out of it. There could be some more things to be sorted out in this top 10 yet. Cohen not quite going to get into DRS, I don't think. And even if he does, it'll be too late to make much of a difference. So
he'll be out of the points anyway.
Well, will he? That's a shame.
Well, he's got 12 seconds.
No, he'll be well on the points, easily on the points.
Oh, yeah, because Dino and Steph has got 9 seconds of penalties as well, and it's 11-point gap. So Cohen's too close for comfort there as a McLaren. I think he's the only full-time driver that's been there since the start to not score any points. Of course, we had, I think, Frankie not scoring any points either, but he joined midway through the season. But yeah, Cohen, the only driver who's been there since the start to not score any points. So could he be the one to make sure that most of these drivers have scored points this season? So Cohen, he's got to do all he can now in these final 2 laps of this race. But Tom almost got Cameron Dowles there. He's got closer than he's ever been. So this could be a Titanic scrap for the win of this race. And Bolan, if he keeps it up, will be in third. But surely he wants to be in this fight as well. But he's got his teammate Baraka to answer to. Bolan has got 13% ERS. Baraka's got just under 10. So Baraka will be at a disadvantage right now because Izzle's on 21. They're all within the same range. The one who's doing the best out of the ERS is Tom. We do have a yellow flag.
Gazizzle's gone. So Gazizzle has lost the front lane. Well, that'll be another point for Cohen then. He'll be picking up 4 points here for
this is good.
For his effort. So he's getting himself up there, but he's not going to be able to catch his train. Now, Tom, through that middle sector, was getting very slippery and slidey. Hope he's not feeling the pressure because he knows this is it. And even if he doesn't get his through into turn 1, he'll have a second opportunity. But is he just going to do it all at once? Here you can see Cameron. He's got the flashing red light. There might not be anything that he can do as Tom comes through. He'll try on the outside to defend here, but I think Tom's got him, and he'll have the DRS on the exit as well. And that was a pretty standard move in the end for Tom, but he's had to make it stick. And with Barak down in 4th, gonna fall further, this is a really important move, and he's done his race pretty much perfect. Despite the battling with Barak earlier on, he's got himself back into the lead. He's going to pick up a race win as well, and it'll be 3 in a row for the man who's certainly becoming the championship favourite. He's been fantastic in these last few rounds, and you know, apart from the mistake in Monaco, he's been right up there. Without that, he would have been closing in probably on a title win soon, but let's see. Let's just get him to the finish line first, but he has done pretty much everything he needed to do today. Barak was the one who was making the mistakes again. And will he try and get by his teammate at the end? I don't think he will. He's going to be behind him in the end anyway, as Tom comes through. The checkered flag is there. He's a winner once again in PSGL F2. Cameron comes home in 2nd place. Bolan 3rd. Ricky 4th. Mateo 5th. CC Bray in 6th. Barak in 7th. Cohen with his first points in 8th. Dino will come through, and he'll pick up P9 as well. I wonder who's going to have the fastest lap. It should be him, and indeed it is, unless anyone else is on new tyres. I spy Gazizzle and Kryptonite on new tyres, so perhaps they'll go for it. But let's see, Steph crossed the line as well. Has scored 1 point earlier on in the season, so will be a 2nd point for his campaign as he crosses the line. And it won't actually be, because Nicolo gets himself through as well. Was able to get close enough. Gazizzle, he crashed too late to get a fast lap actually, so is Kryptonite the only one who can go for one, or did he also crash late on? Either way, he's unfortunately going to be finishing right down at the back of the field, and we didn't really see much of him today actually. It was just the stuff at the front was happening, so I don't really know how he's ended up down there. I
believe he got fastest lap.
So there's a little bit of happiness at the end of a unfortunately miserable day, as he comes home 14th, but with the fastest lap. Ricky, according to the game, picks up driver of the day, and you can see Devon leaving the session, and I'm not surprised he's leaving in a hurry. He's had a pretty miserable day. But Tom, the championship leader, it's gone perfectly for him. What a day for him.
Yeah, I think he deserves it, to be honest. He played it right. You don't need to be starting on pole to win a race, it seems, and that is what Tom has proven tonight, and he's going to be now taking the lead of the Drivers' Championship from Barak. The first time I think the lead has changed hands in a while. Don't forget, he's a driver that came from F3 last season. He finished 2nd in that championship. Devon was actually 1st. So Tom, I have to say, has improved a lot on this game already to get where he is and to be in this championship fight in the first place. So he is the man on form, and he's got the one that's the most to lose right now. But we'll go through your provisional results because it could be changed by the stewards. We hope not. We hope that it all stays like this, but you never know. So we've got Tom from Cameron, and we've got a Shazoo 1-2. We've got Bolan in third, Ricky in fourth, Potato fifth, CC Brain in sixth. I believe he will jump Devon to third in the championship. I will double check that in a second. Baraka 7th, Cohen 8th, Dino 9th, and Nicolo will be your final point scorer. And then it'll be Steph, Devon, because it's all Kryptonite gets the fastest lap by around about 1/10 of a second, so it's quite close in the end. And then we got, I think, Jats, because it's the one I didn't see who else did not finish there, but it got quiet towards the end there, but good scrap between Cameron and Tom for the win. And I think Tom timed it just right. I'm gonna have to give it to Tom for driver of the day there, but do you agree, or would you put someone else forward for driver of the day?
No, happy enough to give it to Tom. I think he's done pretty much everything he needed to do there today. I mean, he managed the end of the race really well. When he was fighting with Baraka earlier on, despite falling back, he was able to make the time back up. So he did pretty much everything that he had to do, and it's given him the victory, which has put him in a really handy position for the last 4 races in the championship. So yeah, I'd say he's easily driver of the day there.
Yeah, let us know who your driver of the day is in chat. It'll be good to get your opinions as well. We'll try and see if we can get a few drivers in for interviews to see what they think. We actually got our race winner and championship leader waiting in the wings, so we will try and drag him in. First of all, Tom, can you hear us?
Hello.
Hello, Tom. Congratulations once again for another win. You pretty much improved your stats quite a bit. Your 3rd win in a row, your 4th podium in a row. Were you planning to get a win here, or was it a surprise to you more than anyone else?
No, if I'm being honest, this is probably my best track on the calendar.
Ooh.
So I'm happy that I managed to, pull through and get the result that I wanted. And so yeah. It was all about just, waiting until the last lap, to be honest.
Yeah, I could tell you're waiting for the last lap, because I see you were not pushing too much to save your tyres as well. Was the one-stop strategy your plan all along as well? Because there was some questions why the two-stop will be faster, but knowing what happened, I think, in Canada last season, did you then realise that the one-stop was feasible around this track?
Yeah, I think the one-stop's always better because it'll be very hard to overtake in the DRS chain. You kind of need clean air to do a two-stop, which you can't really get when there's like 10 people in the lead train. So yeah, the one-stop was the way to go. And I feel like my tyre wear and just, I don't know, I always have good tyre wear around here. I managed to keep the wear low, and the one-stop was quite easy in the end.
Oh, that is great to hear as well. And obviously, you're now leading the championship. I need to double check what the gap is so far. The end is in sight as well. What are you going to do to make sure that you keep your championship lead for as long as possible? Because, to be honest, the only time it really counts is the final race. What are you going to do to make sure that you win this thing?
Well, I mean, obviously, just trying to outscore Baraka and Devon each race. But if I can't do that, I've just got to try and, make the most of every race and try and reduce the point gap, obviously, in each race. Try and say if I'm having a bad race, I've just got to try and get everything out of it that I can. And try and be consistent, because that's what Baraka's been doing earlier in the season, and he got him to the top. So just going to try to keep consistent, not make any risks for any race wins, but just try and minimalise any losses.
I think you've got the most wins out of anyone by far, because I think everyone else has got either 1 or 2. I think Valentin has got 2, I think, but obviously he got promoted to the top tier as well, but we will see. So, Owen, any questions for Tom, our race winner?
Well, first of all, well done on the victory. 4th win. It's a very impressive a run for you so far. You've got 4 tracks left this season. Which one do you think you'll be best at? Do you reckon you'll be confident for all of them, or are ones you may be feeling a bit worried about? How do you reckon the end of your season's going to
go? USA is quite a strong track for me. I know it's a strong track for Bolan as well. Bolan's quick, but I guess he just hasn't had the luck this season to fight for the championship, and he's missed a few rounds. But Singapore, I've actually never even drove there since like last game. Imola and Bahrain are sort of in the middle, but I'll have to put some time in to try and get better at there.
And I'll ask you a more difficult question now. Do you reckon you see yourself now as a championship favourite?
Oh.
That's a tough one to call myself, but I'm hoping that I am the favourite to other people and that I can win, but easier said than done.
I was hoping more confidence there from you, Tom, but with the form that you were showing in the last few races. But
yeah, well, form always comes to an end, so I just don't want it to end.
Yeah, we will see then in the last 4 rounds coming up as well. Best of luck for Singapore next week, and we'll let you go and celebrate your win. Congratulations, Tom, our race winner for Mexico.
Cheers, guys.
Right, so we've also got Cameron waiting in the wings as well. Another second place in a row as well, so he's going to jump quite a bit in this championship. So we will drag him in. Cameron, can you hear us?
Yep.
Another podium and another second place for you in a row. Well, 2 second places in a row as well. You also got pole as well. Do you think you would have got the win if you waited a bit, or were you happy with second place?
I'm happy with second place, but I think I could have used a bit more from the warnings because I had 0 warnings. So in hindsight, maybe I should have used 2 warnings or 1 to like push through a certain corner to gain a 10th or 2, which could have been a deciding factor. But yeah, happy with P2 and pole, so I've got no complaining really. P2, good result, and it's very solid.
Talk us through your quali lap actually, because it looked like you were control from the start because you were pretty much leading for most of it, and then your final lap as well did enough for you to get pole position. Talk us through what you did. Where do you think you gained the most time out of everybody else? I think you were almost a 10th quicker than the guy in second place, I believe.
I had a pretty decent first sector and a pretty decent middle. I think most of it was gained in the first. I think it was like a low 0.0. And then the first part of sector 2 was really nice. And then for like the second half of sector 3 and the last, the last bit of sector 2 and most of sector 3, it was a little bit scruffy, but I just held the car to the end and it was enough. Surprisingly, I would have thought Tom or Baraka would have done like a 0.4 or something, but I think
that was my prediction. That was my prediction at 0.4.
Yeah.
Didn't materialise though, unfortunately, but at least you still got pole there as well. And I'll ask the same question as what I did to Tom. Was the 1 stop your plan all along, or do you think about the 2 stop? What were your thoughts?
No, the plan was always 1 stop.
Good.
Yeah, I'd never thought about the 2 stop.
Very, very, very good. Owen, do you have any questions for Cameron?
Yeah, well, first of all, well done on another second place and the pole position as well. You're showing a lot of really good pace at the moment, and obviously you're in F2 at the moment. You've come in a little bit late. Do you reckon there's a chance for you to be F1 tier soon? Because of the way your pace is going, you might be able to get a couple of wins at the end of the season, and there's a potential for a promotion there. Do you reckon you'll be ready for it?
I reckon it's unlikely I'll get to F1, but if I can get a few wins maybe and like increase my pace by a little bit, then maybe. But unlikely.
And just one more. I asked this to Tom as well. What do you feel about the last 4 tracks of the season? Any ones you're feeling particularly confident about?
I don't even know the last 4 tracks.
Singapore, USA, Imola, and Bahrain.
Imola and USA, I think I'll do pretty decent at. There are two of one of my favourite tracks. So yeah, Imola and USA should be fun.
Nice. I would say those are good tracks as well where people can do well. So congratulations, Cameron. Another second place. Do you think you could go for the win maybe next week?
I hope so.
We'll have to wait and see then. Best of luck for the rest of the season. And for now, we will leave you to it. Cameron Dow's our second place man from the Mexican Grand Prix. So we will leave you there. As Owen, do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up for the stream? Our next race is at Singapore. What can you expect from those drivers next week?
Well, I expect Singapore will probably be the most difficult race of the season for these guys. It'll be possibly the one that Tom will be, I'd say, most nervous about. He may not sort of show it, but I think if he can get through that one, this is his championship to win. So it could be a big race next week. You want to be there for it.
Yes, make sure you join us. Same time, same place next week, 7 PM UK time on the PSGL channel. If you are liking this content tonight, don't forget to click the like button on this video, hit the subscribe button and hit that notification bell if you are new. You can also check out the streams that happened whilst we were on, which was F3, F4 and F7. And if you want some more Mexican Grand Prix action, which is live right now, we've got the F1 tier streaming. They just started their race, so we'll see how their strategies go on. And we also got F5, F6 and no F8 tonight. So we just got F5, F6 and F1 on right now. So if you want to check those out, feel free. Make sure you check our sponsors, Grid Rival, where we do have an F1 2022 Fantasy League with them, and it's not too late to sign up. You can click on the link in the description, premiersimgl.com/Grid Rival. Make sure you check those out. That'll be brilliant. Also follow at PremierSimGL on Twitter if you want to keep up to date with the latest announcements. We also have our own Instagram page now at PremierSimGL. So if you want to follow us on Instagram, that'll be lovely. But for now, we'll let you enjoy the rest of the Mexican Grand Prix streams for PSGL. PC may be back this week. We'll have to wait and see, fingers crossed. But we will see you same time next week, 7 PM UK time, for the Singapore Grand Prix. Have a good evening, everybody. Goodbye.